We're going to win. And we're going to win a championship. Otherwise, why are we doing it?
What's good, Cowboys Nation? Thank you guys so much for joining us again on this wonderful Wednesday evening. As you guys already know, this is StarChasers, right? Back for another informational show. You know, we guys always trying to bring you new information, excitement about our feelings about the past game. Football is finally back. I was just telling Star and Cravin, it was very, exciting to see our boys back on TV. But as you guys know, it's Cravin Cowboys. I got my amazing sis, StarChasers, in the building. How you doing tonight, sis? Please tell me how you doing.
Doing great. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Dacon's filthy. I know there'll be more people coming in, but y'all know it's always good when me and my sis can get together for another episode of StarChasers Girls Talk Ball. We are so excited to be here today, but y'all know as y'all come in to please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Please hit the share button, and also please subscribe to our YouTube channels. We are in the process of growing and trying to expand our audience. So please help us out with that. And also please comment live, and also comment on the playback. If you're watching this on the playback, we love to see your comments underneath the videos. And I know I do try to do my best to respond to comments. Mickey does as well. So please just help us out by doing that. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Timo, Kelvin, really excited to see everybody as we jump into the content. But I agree with Cravin that, it is good to see the Cowboys back on the field. I said, even though it's not real yet, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's still good to, actually get settled in that it's football season. Of course, y'all know y'all saw my show a couple days yesterday. Y'all saw my show yesterday. So in my heart, am I feeling the absolute best about my Cowboys? But it has nothing to do with losing a preseason game. I don't care about winning preseason games. But in my heart, do I feel the best about my team right now? No, I don't. Because I'm having questions about my coach.
Right.
Micah Parsons still not paid. Jerry still talking about controversy. He loves controversy, all this stuff. So, but we here. We trying to do the best that we can out here as Cowboys fans.
Yes, no facts. It's like I was, trying. I've been trying to hard so hard not to look at some of these, Parsons and Jerry stories. 'Cause I'm just like, I know it's just, clicks and views. I know it's just stories for the, the journalists to kind of put out there because not saying there's nothing else to talk about, but it is a big piece of, going into the season and wanting our. I mean, just like you said, sis, sometimes it's hard being a Cowboys fan, but especially when you see other deals getting made, like an integral piece of the Buffalo offense, James Cook getting an extension. You know what I'm saying? He was holding out, you know what I'm saying? And even something, I think it's something he said about Trent Henderson showing up to camp. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not saying he gave in, but hey, okay, he's willing to show up for the team and say, hey, let's see if we can cut, meet in the middle on this thing. But to see no movement, between Parsons and the Cowboys, that's a little. And like you said, at this point, the first preseason game has already passed, and going into week 2, and we're still seeing Mike on the sidelines, arms folded, feet away from Jerry Jones. I think I don't know if it's, I didn't dive deep enough to verify if it was true for myself, but hearing through Twitter that they met for over 4 hours, that kind of got my excitement going a little bit, but yes, you know what I mean. But even days later, still nothing. It's like, okay, for me at least, what's it going to take? And is it like you said for Jerry, is it just entertainment? Is it just I'm keep this going as long as I can, or is it going to be like, is it really a standoff between Parsons and the Joneses, or the organization, or what have you? Because to see him halfway wear his jersey, sis, I'm not going to lie, some of this is kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. I know it's not personal, but it's just like, man, like I want him out there, not only just out there, but it's feel like he's part of the team. But now you kind of see his hood up during the scrimmages, of course, talking with his guys and everything, but just hood up, not as much fan interaction, just kind of not saying he's down, but just seeing him apart from the boys, playing wise, it does kind of hurt as a fan.
Yeah, and I mean, you can say it. I mean, he is down. You can tell his energy ever since he had to put in that trade request. His energy has been down. It hasn't been great. You know what I'm saying? And why would it be great?
Exactly.
He forcibly. Well, I mean, he doesn't have to be here. He can leave, but if he leaves, then he gets charged fines and all of that type of stuff. So it's just a hard deal because he wants to be out there practicing with his guys. He wants to be out there working out. He's not getting better. And this was the last padded practice here in Oxnard, because now they return back home, and I think maybe they allow them to have one padded practice once they get back to Dallas, but after that, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So it's like now Micah done missed the whole offseason. Not the whole offseason, but he done missed all of training camp.
Right.
Which means he's not football ready.
Period.
Which means that now, even if Jerry pays him like he did CD 2 weeks before the season, or let's say he pays him the day of the opening season, Micah didn't get those training camp reps. And we know Micah is great and he's all pro and all that type of stuff, but that doesn't matter. Like, he still has to get in football shape just like everybody else. I know people talk about Aaron Donald, but I'm like, that's Aaron Donald. You know what I'm saying? Like,
facts.
There's only one Aaron Donald that exists. So everybody else who missed training camp, it F's them up. So y'all don't be shocked and surprised. Micah come back and he's not doing much at first. Don't be surprised because he's not in football shape and there's nobody to blame at this point. But Jerry Jones. Yes, I know the agents had something to do with it and all of this type of stuff, because I've been saying the agents' hands not clean. But at this point, it is on Jerry and Steven for why they haven't even begun talks yet. Because like Jerry said today, they still haven't even begun talks. Like,
and it's annoying. It's just super annoying. And I'm just, like you said, look at some of Jerry's comments from today. I'm really, I don't want to say worried, but he's going to take it into the season. You know what I'm saying? Because he's like, well, he keeps saying technically under contract.
He's under contract. He's under
contract. And Steven's singing the same song. And it's like, okay, like, are y'all really going to take it there? Are y'all trying to take that shit
every year? CD was under contract too. It's like, get him signed and just stop this. At this point, at least start the negotiation talks. But this is what Jerry didn't want to do. They like dragging this type of stuff out. And again, I'm not saying that the agent's hand is clean, because no, it is not. But at least the agent has reached out and tried to call. And I thought that after Micah and Jerry talked, allegedly, that they were going to start the negotiation processes, but as of today, still nothing. So it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just sad. Like, honestly, it's just, especially like you said, since at this point in the season, when especially if you see a game go by and it's like, and he's there, he's at the game, and that was encouraging to see too. That he didn't decide to stay back, he decided to fly with his guys. He was in the building, still interacting with them as well. You know what I'm saying? So that was encouraging to see. So hopefully, we'll see some movement going forward. We're just kind of jumping into some of the game what we've seen. I don't know if we want to start on offense or defense, but I'll just kind of say my thoughts just in general. There were some good, some good, some bad, but honestly, I'm not too, after getting, a second and third kind of watch on the game, I'll go ahead and say my first reaction to the game was, yes, I did see some things that were disappointing. Not seeing the run game coming out, strong as we wanted to, seeing, 6 straight pass plays. I'm sure a lot of people have been talking about it, but just now kind of, looking back on something, because I didn't get a chance to really see a lot of the pregame talk and things like that, but just kind of catching up on a lot of the interview, just some of the things that Shotty said before the game, and then a little bit after the game too, kind of helped me understand how they wanted to see Joe, lead the team, how if he could see, him take the team down the field and move the ball, if he could trust the ball in his hands, for him to, take that leadership role and just see if he keep the guys up, give them the energy. And not saying he didn't give them energy, but I think he was just so, engulfed in his own energy starting, if we can remember Cowboys Nation, his second, NFL game in his career, and this is preseason. So he really only played one NFL game in his career. So, he has to come out, get the jitters out. And it's really everyone's first, first year for our head coach, Schottenheimer. So we had to get that chemistry down, him calling his first game, with the players. So just with everything kind of coming to a summation for this first preseason game, I'm not too worried, but it was encouraging to see Joe Milton kind of calm down, kind of the second quarter going on, seeing him make some of those throws, but some of those, passes that we just wish could have connected, like to Flournoy, in the deep middle cross, or him. It was encouraging for me to see Flournoy make the moves, but to also see Joe Milton to kind of correct his mistakes along the way. At least for me, was kind of encouraging.
Yeah, I feel like when I started watching the game, I was like looking around, like, is this Mike McCarthy? Like, what is going on? Right. And it feels like this is nothing but Jerry and Steven telling Shotty what the game plan's got to be, and he's going along with it. Now, I will give Shotty credit because he didn't make Joe pass the ball 60 times like Mike McCarthy did. Yeah. He eventually realized this isn't going to work. If I want to move the ball at all, I'm going to have to run the ball. So I do give Shotty credit for that, absolutely. But I think when it comes to Joe Milton, now you see all the hype videos have stopped. Now you see every time he's on somebody's thumbnail has stopped. Because I've said it, we only do this goofy stuff in Dallas. Joe Milton, yes, he's a young prospect. Yes, he's athletic. Yes, he has a great arm strength. But we saw at the game, what does arm strength mean if you can't hit wide open targets for a quarterback? So, and even when Joe was settled, there was still wide open passes he was missing. Flat-footed, no pressure, because the offensive line only gave up a sack for 8 yards.
Right, and it was a veteran, and it was a veteran who gave that sack. Shout out to our young offensive lineman coming through.
Right, it was wasn't it Lyle Collins?
No, I think it was Adeniji.
Adeniji. Okay. So it was Adeniji. So it's like, listen,
and that was one of the early drives. So it was not like it was late in the game. That was before they even got settled. So
right. So it's like exactly like the offensive line did great. I feel like that was a very good bright spot of the game. Yes. Because although Joe Milton didn't perform well, which I don't know what we were expecting, and I just think the whole game plan is dumb to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go out there and light it up with Joe." Are we here? Is this that's what I'm saying. It's feeling like the same shit, but we just replaced Trey Lance with Joe Milton. Because it feels like we're trying to make preseason all about showcasing Joe Milton when we should be making preseason like the rest of the teams out here about getting better. Implementing our scheme, implementing our identity. which
Right.
Shotty said was to run the ball.
Facts,
If
that's
Joe
true.
Milton gets into an actual NFL game because something happens, God forbid, knock on wood, to Dak,
Right.
he's not going to be passing the ball a lot.
Right.
We're going to be running the ball and doing play action. So I don't really get the whole I want to feature Joe Milton and light it up. It's like, shouldn't your job be to like get the quarterback? Because these are the backup quarterback. He only has 3 games to get actual snaps. Right. So it's like you should be putting him into like a simulation as if he's playing a real game, not having him do something that you know in the actual season you wouldn't have him do in the first place. So that's the type of stuff that, you know, I just get concerned about. I get concerned with Joe, with this whole competition thing, because it is feeling like last year, Cooper Rush, even though Trey Lance had the upside and all the great things, we still there wasn't ever a competition between Cooper Rush and Trey Lance. Now, granted, right, Mike McCarthy pulled a wild card and still, because I thought for sure Trey Lance was going to be QB2. He ends up being QB3 and holding the clipboard all year. But with Shotty, I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's already all but declared that Joe Milton will be QB2. Because even him being asked about giving Will Greer more snaps, he was acting annoyed about it. He was rolling his eyes. He was laughing. Like, it seems to me like this whole compete every day is not really real, but it's what Shotty was saying. But see, that's why we named this show Exposure, because not only just the players, there was some good exposure, there was some bad exposure, but also we always said about Shotty, he talks a lot and what he says sounds good, but again, he's going to be judged by actual games. And now we're looking at it and we're seeing, like, do you really have control, or are you really bending over for Jerry and Steven like every other coach has done? Because right now it looks like you're bending over. So I don't know, man. I'm trying my best to keep positive spirits, but it's like sometimes you can't always be positive because this is just our reality.
No, I definitely agree with you. Like, it's still, you know, some people, I mean, I'm still seeing the puppet memes out there, you know, Jerry holding Shotty as just like they were doing with McCarthy, you know, him as a still dummy, you know, on the sidelines, and, you know, them controlling the strings. So it's just, like I said, I kind of felt the same way a little bit, but I just wanted to see what happens with the rest of the preseason, you know, because it was just the first game, at least for me. And I feel like hopefully, like, I'm kind of with you. I'm hoping it is, you know, maybe they're just seeing what they have in Joe because they're familiar with Will. You know, that's kind of what he said. But at the same time, like you said, why not give, at least for me, because, you know, seeing Will Greer, I know it was Dak calling plays and things like that, but seeing Will playing in previous years, why not go with the experienced quarterback? You know, why does it have to be a conversation of you having to
why
train yet another young QB? Like, why go through the motions all over again? Just like you said, implement your scheme, go with the better QB2, and let's get this thing rolling.
Let's keep it moving.
Start diving, because even some of the play calling we've seen, at least in my opinion, in the second half, you know, we started getting things a little bit like when we were just kind of like, you know, not. When it wasn't just all about Joe, like we finally kind of buckled down and started implementing the run game, started getting more of the personnel involved. You know, things started to roll a little bit more. You know, we saw more from the tight ends. You saw more from and not just Malik Davis, but you saw more from Maffa. He was, you know, breaking tackles, things like that. And sis, I really, you know, that we got not a segment, but just seeing what Deuce did with the little bit of snaps he had.
Deuce
I don't understand why Shotty. I don't understand Shotty. You look at the little bit of snaps he had. He still busts his runs. He still has to change the direction. Like, I don't understand what his hesitation on Deuce is.
I don't know.
I'm seeing what you're talking about now.
That's
sis.
what I'm saying. Like,
I know, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little frustrated because they were doing some of the. I'm starting to see maybe a little bit of Schottenheimer's maybe a little bit of his influence in past season, because we're seeing some of the plays that Dak would do to Deuce, like throwing, you know, short passes to him when he's still trying to block off a linebacker, you know what I'm saying, or a DB, and it's like, okay, those plays don't work, but if you just give him the rock and let him tote it, give him a little space, even when he doesn't have space, I don't know if you saw that play where he had to change the direction, whipped out to the left, and I think still got a yard or two.
That change of direction was crazy. Yeah, Deuce averaged like um
He's a
5.5
5.5,
yards. Yeah, he
5.5
averaged
yard.
5.5 yards per carry. Because I'm trying to see. Because I'm like, yeah. Because the first 3 plays it was pass, pass, pass. Okay, and then this play, yeah, the first Zeus's first carry, he got 8 yards.
Yes, I'm just man, like, and just like man, it's just he's hard to find on the field. He can disappear through those holes, get skinny.
He got 8
I just
yards
like
and he
the
got 6 yards. That
yes
it messed up our drive because we ended up getting
that flag
a penalty.
exactly. Oh man, it's just I just love that he's still putting the effort forth. Like although he is dealing with a slight injury, it's not as bad as last year. But although he's getting limited, and even Sean, I'm glad that Sean at least is sticking to that. He did say last week that hey, we have some some packages ready for use. And I don't know if we got through all those plays or even got through any of those plays, but I just love that even though the little bit that we saw from him, he took advantage and showed that I was out for the majority of this week, and I still came in and got got some yardage. You feel me? So I'm very happy with what I saw, and just overall with the running back room, Malik Davis coming in. I'll be honest, he shut me up. You saw me since one of the first thing I tweeted was okay, retread Cowboys. Like once again, here we go bringing in. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. So Malik Davis right now, I wait to see what what else the preseason has to show us. But yeah, I like what he was able to do and how hard he was able to run, and even up the middle. And shout out to Miss 2I, Aisha Morrison, and Skywalker. Their show is amazing. Make sure you guys please check that out. But they confirmed some of the things I was thinking, and I know I'm kind of bouncing around, but just seeing I know it was second and third team, but seeing Brock Hoffman and TJ Bass, for me they're like big brother and little brother. Like Hoffman's out there like of course we know the energy he brings to the field, but he was helping out Bass a lot, with him Bass taking more snaps on the center. But even though Bass is handling his own, at the same time you kind of saw Hoffman kind of step up in those moments. You saw him helping him keep off guys, stave off guys to keep the pocket clean. I just saw moments of Hoffman stepping up, and not saying we don't see that from him a lot, but I like that we're seeing it more. And it's not just about flailing the guy off the field or just fighting the guy in front of you. It's he's becoming more about his team, more about his teammates, and making sure he follows through on his assignments. And I like that we're and just speaking overall about all the most of if not all the young guys on the O line. I like the progression and just really the maturity that we're seeing. For like I said, from guys from Hoffman and Bass who are kind of the veteran of the young guys, if you will, but at the same time seeing Austin Richards step up. Nate Thomas, I'm hearing a lot of good things about him step up, and even to guys like some other veterans. I know he went down for a little bit. Sadiq Charles, he did a little bit. I saw they were bouncing guys around a lot, but Identity, I liked his first drive. I'm not gonna lie, although he did let up the sack. I like what I seen from him at right tackle. I was a little bit not disappointed. I know Cornelius is a rookie, but he's definitely showing, his rookie side. So I'm glad that Identity can kind of step up in that role if need be for Terrence Steele, because we definitely need, a sturdy backup right tackle, who we really haven't had a lot of in the past. At least my opinion, the last couple of years. What I'm saying? Trying to get Waletzko to work over and over. No offense, I'm sorry, Waletzko, but trying to get one piece to work over and over, it doesn't. I'm glad that they finally decided to switch it up a little bit at that position and to get a guy in here who can handle it.
Facts. And I think that what you said about the offensive line, like I really, and shout out to everybody in the chat, Timo, Scarecrow, my guy 100 Grand, Lee Harrison, Brian Smith, my guy Keystone. What's up to everybody in the chat? Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. We really appreciate y'all being in the chat with us. And y'all know if y'all are in the chat on YouTube, please like the video. I am streaming this on X, so if you're on X, please come to the YouTube side, like the video, and then you can go back to watch it on X. But really appreciate everybody. But yeah, I agree exactly with what you said. I feel like if we were to say where we have our deepest depth on the team, like I would say that our offensive line, because I think a lot of our offensive linemen are good enough to be starters on other teams. Like you brought up TJ Bass, like you brought up Brock Hoffman. Those two we've been developing for 3 to 4 years now, and they have developed really, really nicely to the point where they are plug and play players. If we have to put them in the starting lineup, we know we're not going to miss a beat with those two. And then, like you said, we added in the tackle depth of Johnny Cornelius, who's a rookie, but also Sadiq Charles, and who else am I thinking of? Oh, Adeniji also,
Yeah,
Adeniji. Both of those guys, I feel like, have stepped up and have looked pretty good. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
All throughout camp, awesome Richards, and all of them can kind of like move again across the line. They've been doing a lot of mixing up. They said they're gonna start giving TJ Bass more center reps and things like that
yeah,
because they really are trying to develop and make sure that everybody is cross trained, especially
yeah.
those who are like lower on the depth chart that aren't starters. Everybody is cross trained so that we can just continue to function as an
Right,
offensive line. So I really like what I was seeing. I really like that we only gave up 1 sack for 8 yards. And again, that was at the beginning of the game. And then
correct.
you can see here, all of our backs ate. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
if it was only one back, then you could say, okay, it was just that back. But when you see that all of the backs were
Yeah,
averaging pretty good, then that's how you know your offensive line did a good job. So you
yeah,
had Malik Davis who came in at the end. He was averaging 9. Then you had Phil Maffa, uh, who was pretty much playing like throughout the whole game. He was almost averaging 4 yards. Then you have Deuce that was averaging 5 yards. Granted, he only got 2 carries, but he was still averaging 5 yards, almost 6 yards a carry. So
right,
when you take all of that into consideration, that should make you as very happy and hopeful as a Cowboys fan because
right,
you're saying at least we know that we can run the ball.
right, exactly.
And again, the schemes that we were running, we weren't even running like our true run schemes and stuff like that. Like we were
Mm-hmm.
just running very vanilla concepts and stuff like that. So the fact that we were still able to run the ball and all of our backs ate should give us positivity, a positive sign pointing toward our offensive line, which Shotty
Max.
said that this team's supposed to be led through the offensive line. So if your depth is performing that good, then you can only expect that your actual starters, how they're going to be performing.
Right, I definitely agree with you, and that kind of speaks to what we spoke about. I think a couple of weeks ago, talking about the running backs being kind of an open competition. Even though in this game we only saw a limited amount of backs in our complete room. Some due to injury, some due to guys sitting out like Javonte Williams. Hopefully we'll get to see him this week or next week. But we kind of seen from the spring up until now, we've seen Javonte Williams get some good runs of practice. Although Miles Sanders is out right now, we saw him get some good runs in the scrimmage. So we are, I think in my opinion, seeing just some good things all around from all the guys in the room. In this game included Deuce coming in, doing what he was able to do. Of course, we've seen Jadon Blue in practices and the scrimmage, and he was able to eat as well. So I think when it comes down to, hopefully by the end of preseason, we'll be able to see I don't know if we'll see all of our guys. I don't know if Blue will get out there, but hopefully he'll get better. But I don't know if we'll see him play in preseason. But hopefully we'll be able to get a whole full scope on our room before deciding who's going to be our starting backs. And just kind of, I want to, pose this question to the chat, and also to you, sis. I think this is kind of an indication on coaching as far as O-line and possibly running backs as well. We were doing cross training with our young depth guys, in these past few seasons, but under a different coach. So now bringing in, Connor Riley, but with the mix of Clayton Adams, of course, working hand in hand with Schottenheimer and some of the play calling. But I think this says a lot, on coaching, because we were doing cross training, doing musical chairs, throughout the spring, and bouncing guys back and forth, and like we were doing before, also with Awesome Richards, and trying to see what Nate Thomas can do at guard. But just seeing the O-line improve. I know there were some individual faults, of course, penalties, things like that, some whiffs during the game, but just seeing see the O-line play in general as a whole, like Tyler Smith likes to say, five is one. I think we saw them move, a little bit closer to that step, kind of smooth to see them move in unison, see them keeping a clean pocket for Joe Milton, him being able to get those throws out. Although, some even Miss Tuwai said, she said that Milton didn't even seem like he was flinching in the pocket because he was able to get those throws out, and those guys were able to hold up that great protection, whether it was through the, once they got the run game settled, even she said, she noticed that there were some great runs behind TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman. So seeing that middle open up, I think that says great things, and also with the play calling as well, having our guys do more than just, basic things, trying to do, we're doing combo blocks, we're having our guys pull, we're having our guys trying to get to that second level. So I think that, at least in my opinion, is kind of an indication on an improvement in coaching and, doing what our guys do best. I'm saying? We've seen those guys, from Bass and Hoffman climb, but also BB, saying our first team guys being able to do that as well. I think they're kind of just trying to sink their teeth into what these guys do the best and just really, swaying these guys in that direction. And we see the improvement.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, I said it too. I was like, the people that we need to be thanking the most, because we haven't been able to run the ball really for the past 2 seasons.
Right.
So the person that we should be thanking the most is Clayton Adams and Kiner Riley. Right. Because they seemed so far to have actually fixed this offensive line. Now, of course, could there be improvements? Yes, we can always improve and can always get better. Right. But I think when it just comes from a fundamental standpoint, we just look way sharper and sure of ourselves in the run game than we have looked in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
In the past 2 years, us running the ball has just looked a mess. It's just looked a mess, and we've been, falling all over each other, running into each other, not able to sustain blocks. Even on our power toss plays, missing your aiming point. It just has not been good. It has not been good. Now we did toward the end of the season, we started getting like a running rhythm. I will admit that. Like Rico started getting like multiple 100-yard games and stuff like that. So we were able to get a rhythm, but still, it still didn't feel like we were, what's the word? Well, I guess we started getting more comfortable. So I'll admit that we started getting more comfortable, but I just think now still you could still see flaws in the fundamentals and things like that. I just feel like now our fundamentals on the offensive line look sharper, and everybody looks like they're more sure of themselves and what they're actually supposed to be doing, opposed to how they looked under Mike McCarthy and Mike Solari. So really excited for the way that our offensive line performed. Of course, it's just one game. We have another game versus the Ravens that's coming up, and so we'll see how they perform then. But we know versus the Rams, they performed very well, even though, we lost. And shout out to my guy, Stephen White. Really appreciate you being here in the chat with us. Thank you so much for your support.
Yes. Yeah. And I definitely agree with what you were saying, sis. And I just want to kind of add this point, because I know during one of the pressers, Shadi mentioned about trying to get the O-line and the tight end to get a little bit better in the communication. I think that still holds true, as a Saturday, because, and I'll admit I was, not protective, but just, I think I've seen a couple of tweets during the game that the tight ends need to improve some of their blocking. And I know we saw some good things out there, but upon a couple extra watches, I do agree our tight ends definitely. And these are our undrafted guys, so I'm sure didn't get a ton of snaps with Brevin in there. When he was turning up, and John Stevens kind of coming back as well, Schoon, getting those reps as well. I definitely want to see some more and some better work from our UDFAs, Rivaldo Fairweather and Tyler Neville. But I like what I've seen from them as far as some of their pass catching abilities, able to follow through on. I don't think they dropped a lot of balls. Fairweather, could have had earlier touchdown if it wasn't wiped out by Awesome, lining up
right, the penalties. So, and that's exactly true. The penalties, the offensive line, and that is something they perform well outside of the penalties.
Right.
We had way too many, especially Awesome Richards. Yeah, he had like 2 or 3 penalties. That's not acceptable. And it was just him lining up on the wrong side or something like that. Like he lining up on the wrong side of scrimmage. We kept getting flagged for illegal formation. So it's like we can't be having that type of stuff. Awesome Richards. Let me be clear about that. Outside of the penalties,
facts.
The offensive line performed well. But still, penalties have been something that has killed this team for years. Has killed this team for years. So that's something that I really want to see cleaned up in this second game.
Facts.
Not a lot of penalties. We can't, because if we continue to have penalties, it's like, what's the difference between you and Mike McCarthy?
Exactly.
Like we can't have that type of stuff. Like we need a coach that can get discipline, actual discipline.
Right, and he's the one asking the refs, to be extra, be down on the guys, make sure you call everything, down to the scrimmage, and even seeing the game as many penalties as they had. It's like, okay, that's 2 games pretty much back to back. That what to clean up. These guys should know, going into next week, what should be unacceptable. You know what I'm saying? We saw you run the guys one time. Congratulations. Are you going to keep furthering that punishment, or is it just a one time for the cameras? Let me, you guys see I'm running them, but what's really going to be the punishment behind these? Hate to use the word punishment, but what's going to be the consequences for these guys? I heard him say in the presser, I think after the game, he said that if the guy continues to show that he doesn't, want to improve his gameplay or improve his penalties, if it seems like he's not taking it as important as it should be, the guy won't play. But we'll see, because he even made a joke like, CD, you better not, get out of line. Remember that I wouldn't hold CD out for the entire game. Let's make that clear. So. Let's see let's see what Shotty will do to, if a starter, some of our potential starters, are making mistakes like this back to back and don't decide to clean them up.
Right, exactly. That's what I want to see. Like, what are you going to actually do? Because of course he said, "What's up, the basement boys? Glad to see you." And Zeely Hero Games, what's up with you guys? What's up? Glad to see you. You said Collins. I guess you're asking about Lyle Collins. What about him? But
yeah, for real.
Yeah, when
he came in, I think his first play was a penalty. So
yeah, he didn't. He didn't play. Bro. He got to get it together. I got to look at the film more closely because I heard he ain't looked that great. But I want to look for myself before I make that. But yeah, it looked like when I'm looking at the penalties, Austin Richards had 2 back-to-back penalties. Here and here, and then it looked like Sadiq Charles had a penalty earlier in the game, and then I'm trying to see, because he had a penalty here. Sadiq Charles, offensive holding, took out 10 yards, took out Deuce's run,
right?
And then I'm trying to see, was there any more penalties in the first half? Because I'm like, maybe we cleaned it up in the second half, possibly.
Shout out to our favorite Swain in the building. What's up, fam?
What up, Swain? Glad to see you, Swain. Glad to see everybody in the chat. Okay, I'm not really seeing. Thank you, One Day Luna. I think that's a lunatic. I got your Cash App. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I appreciate. Yeah, but it looked like we pretty much didn't have that much penalty, so it was pretty much just the first half.
Yeah, they kind of get into it. Yeah, they had to loosen up a little bit,
Right here, Dallas G. Christian. Who is G. Christian?
I think the newer one of the newer linemen they got.
Okay.
Christian or
so
that's
like that.
Fine. Yeah.
I mean, he just got here, so that's kind of like normal.
Right.
Yeah, he had 2 penalties. He had 2 false. It's because he wasn't expected to play.
Right, probably not.
He had 2 false starts, so we had to just throw him in there.
Like I said, I just got here. He just got. I think he's the one who got. Well, Let's Go's number. It's so weird, almost to see 79 out there and to not see Well Let's Go. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. I'm just glad Well Let's Go is gone. But
right, that part. Yeah, shout out to you, Lunatic. Appreciate you. Really
it looked like Garyon. Yeah, he had 2 false starts. No, he had a false start. Then Lyle had a false start.
Yeah.
Then Awesome had those 2 penalties. So maybe the penalties is not that bad once you actually look at it. It was mostly
the times they came.
It was
the times they came, like on the touchdown or like
exactly. It was at the wrong time, and it was the same people. So Awesome Richards. This Garyon and Lyle, now they just got here. Y'all got to get it together. Yeah. Now, Sadiq Charles, you've been here. So that's no excuse. You got to get it together. But Awesome Richards,
and you a veteran.
You really got to get it together. Because two penalties just because you're not lining up right, that's unacceptable. But shout out to my guy, the Lunatic and Ty Church. Thank you guys so much for y'all support.
Yes,
really appreciate y'all support.
Yes, and I think to your point, since I will say that I think in regards to what's the lineman we were just talking about? Dang, I just lost him. But
Garyon, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Christian and Lyle. Yeah. Like I don't know if how much they'll really add to our team, but like you said, them just getting here, hopefully they can kind of get their scheme under their belt and kind of catch on. Because I mean, Lyle, I like his size and everything, but I don't want to be like, you come in like you're gonna make the team, and then you come out not really showing anything. So seeing Malik hurt a little bit, I was like, man, what's going on? Like I think he fell. I don't know if a guy pushed him or anything like that, but I would just love to see our alignment, kind of, like I said, I love our depth guys, and seeing Austin Richards out there. I like seeing him get some snaps, and I know we haven't talked about him a lot, but I like what I've seen from the first couple snaps from Nate Thomas, getting in there, looking settled, and I like that he's, showing his progression as well.
Facts. I agree with that 100%.
Oh, and also just one more point I want to add, since I don't know if I don't know if it's a question or anything, but just I like the point that Clayton made in his presser, talking about that he was up in the box, looking at the formation of the line and saying that he probably will, could possibly spend more time up in the box looking down. I think that could have a positive impact, being able to see from up top, some of the implementation of these plays and just how well that these guys can run. I think that can, add a great element to this room, and just, like both coaches have said that they stay in constant communication with each other. So with Clayton up top, Shotty on the field, I think, they can get that much closer to the goals of the team, I think that much faster.
I agree with that. I think, I don't have a problem with Clayton Adams being in the press box, especially because he's not really an energy guy. He's very even clear, listening. So I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I have a hard time listening to his interviews because I'm like, oh, he just is so
he's like gritty, like that gritty voice guy.
He just doesn't have very much of us. I'm like, it's hard to listen to him,
right. But I like listening to Flukes too. I feel like he's so smart when he talks to me. Like his voice is so low. I be having to turn his drinks up too because his voice is pretty low.
So I'm like, but I have no problem with Clayton Adams. Especially because he's not a play caller that's calling. I mean, he's not an offensive coordinator that's calling plays. So it's it is better for you to be up there as an overseer, looking at, the formations. You can get a better idea of what we need to work on. You can get a better idea of what they're doing to us from the press box and stuff like that, and relay it to Shotty, opposed to, because only coaches that I want on the sideline are energy coaches.
Right.
Coaches that bring the energy, coaches that will call your ass out on the sideline and can get things in order and right. Yeah. But, if you're not that type of person, there's no reason to me to be on the sideline. So it's better for you to be in that press box, like I said, so you can get more of a higher view, better understanding of what actually is going on.
Yeah, and that's expertise.
And the expertise and you're not surrounded by all the rah-rah of the sideline.
Right, yeah. So just kind of flipping to the defensive side, we can kind of start the line and kind of move our way out. Just some of the guys who impressed me, and not that we don't hear a lot from them in practice, but at least for me, now a name that we hear a lot. Guys like James Houston for me, and really Tyrus Wheat. I know he didn't get a ton. I like the speed and the way he's able to shed blocks at the line. I think he's able to kind of knife through some of those, but I just want him to kind of finish through plays. James Houston as well. And this, at least for me, in my opinion, for both of them, they definitely bit a lot inside. We lost a lot on the edges, I think, with some of the play with some of those guys. But I like their energy at the line. And really, it really confirmed me when I listened to Botch and Brian Broderick's show when they spoke about Ernest Brown the fourth. I know this is a very, very low key player, but I like how he's able to kind of shed tackles to the line as well and kind of knife through those plays. So I like kind of the pressure that they would bring into the pocket. But some of the guys on the second level who I liked, last year I spoke a lot about Darius Harris in preseason and how I think he had a great preseason. I think he played great. I think it was either the second to last or the last game. I think they played against Washington. I think he had a good game as well, but I liked his game. Speaking of the second level, I think my guy Kimon Hall, I don't, he didn't have the greatest game. I was, a little bit disheartened, but I love what I saw from Zion Childress because I like his speed, not just his closing in speed, but just his speed in general. And just his tenacity at the line and his really, he was throwing dudes out the club. I saw him toss one dude out the way and still attack the run. So I'm just like, First of all, who was this guy? I'm spending my energy on Kimon Hall, guys from last year who I want to see step up. But he definitely flashed in front of my eyes, and I like what I've seen. And I think, like I said, I was watching a Sky and 2 Eye show earlier about them. They mentioned a quote that Shotty, the coaches told him that he has a chance, at that nickel spot. And we definitely need somebody who has that speed at the line because as we saw with the Rams, not just with the Rams, but any, speedy back at that line, shiftiness at the line, we need, containment, and if our D ends, hopefully they can improve, but, that's what the second line of defense is for the guys to kind of clean up the defense, do, eat to the inside. So I like what I've seen from those guys, another, some more guys on my list, but, what are some of your thoughts and, who are some of your standouts on the defense and, some guys that, made you think twice a little bit?
I would say now honestly, I didn't love what I saw from James Houston. So I mean, not James Houston, Ernest Brown, but it's
Oh,
because
yeah.
he's a defensive end and he shouldn't. He's a defensive end that they're trying to convert to a three tech,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
And he just looks way too undersized to be inside.
Yeah.
Not saying that he didn't show anything great, but I just didn't think that he looked too good, especially in the run game.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to like standouts, I think that Maris obviously stood out. I think from the very first play,
Right.
from the very first play on special teams, he set the tone. So Maris seems like he's definitely one of our tone setters.
Yeah.
And I want more players like Maris who don't make excuses.
Yeah.
And that go out there and give their all because you're getting paid to do so. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's true.
I think that and shout out to Coach Marv because he's like, we got to hold the front office accountable, but we also got to hold these players accountable because at the end of the day, Jerry creates controversy, but he's not the one out there calling play. He's not the one out there doing the plays, running routes, doing the technique to shed blocks and get to the pass rusher. I mean, get to the passer. So, you know, those are things to consider. And I like a guy like Maris because he seems like a guy that he's giving you 110% no matter what. He's not making excuses. I think some of our players, too many excuses for me. Now, I'll say that Zion Childress obviously stood out. I think he was the one that was really like flying up to the line of scrimmage and making those tackles. Now, I think he missed a tackle or two, so we got to work on that because I think there was a time he should have had a tackle for loss, but the guy ended up breaking the tackle for like 5 or 6 yards. So we got to.
I think there was another one too, and then Maris was able to kind of back him up on that too.
Right. So we got to be tighter there. But I think he obviously stood out. Our guy Izzy stood out clearly. You know, the only person that got a takeaway, and the takeaway he got was crazy. Like that was an acrobatic. That was an acrobatic interception. So that
his
shows
back was literally to the quarterback.
Right.
That was insane.
So that shows you. I don't have no idea. So that just shows you once again, Izzy is a gamer. Yeah, you may see him getting quote unquote cooked at practice, but you don't ever see Izzy in games getting cooked. Name a game where you see Izzy, he's getting cooked. Like, you're not going to see that because some players are just gamers where it's like they may not practice the best, or maybe at practice they try in different things so they don't look as good. But in the game, they turn it up to a whole different level, and those are the players that you need. You know, I think that who else did I think showed and did some good things? I did like, what I saw from Tyrus Wheat. There was a block that he like blew up and all the way into the backfield. So I liked what I saw there. He made some mistakes, but I still think that, he's one of our developing bigger defensive ends that we only play him on the edge, but he has good edge setting ability. He kind of reminds me like he's like a lesser version of like what what you're projecting Marshawn Nealon to be. And then when you look at the I'm trying to see if anybody else stood out. I'll say this. I know nobody's going to agree because Edward asked, "What's up, Edward? How you doing?" He said, "What do you think about Jay Toia?" I think Jay Toia showed flash.
Me too.
I think he showed some good things.
Yeah.
Especially in the first half. But it was clear in the second half. He just looked so wobbly. He looked wobbly the whole time. Because he gotta get his strength up. And that just happens. He's a rookie, guys. He just came out of college. Right. So at college he's the strongest man. But here you ain't nowhere near the strongest man. So
And Flu said that. He said a lot of rookies had kind of went back, was in their rookie moves, on Saturday, if you guys will. Like he even mentioned the same thing about Ezeraku. He said, Ezeraku did well, but it's like, he just kind of went back.
You're a rookie, exactly.
You're not gonna overcome that wall in one night, guys.
Exactly.
And I love what you said about Toia. I really thought I thought he was able to get downfield. I thought he was able to bring some pressure to the pocket, at least in the first half. And I like what I saw from him. Although he was he did get washed from a lot of plays, but a lot of the D line got washed on the plays, so it wasn't just him. So I think I like what I was able to see from him. He showed some power at the line. I loved it.
All the rookies showed some flash. But of course, they struggle because they're rookies. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the bodies. Even Donovan Ezaraku, he looks very small out there.
Yeah,
he looked very small height and small in stature. Yeah. Then you have Toia, who's a large man, but again, that's a lot of fats, not muscle. So it's just like I said, he looked very flimsy. He couldn't keep his stance a lot. Like he would make a cool move and then he just fall to the ground because it's it's just a lot going on. But that's just something they have to develop. All of these players have to develop. You know, that's why we are saying respect one tech, because we knew Jay, you want him getting snaps. Of course you want him getting snaps, but you clearly saw that if you try to give him NFL actual, you're gonna play 50, half of the snaps. Mm-hmm. It's not gonna look good.
Right. You trying to face one NFL body, like you gotta say you facing two NFL bodies.
Exactly. And then you gotta know here, he was getting handled by fourth and third stringers, guys. So you have to put that into context. If he's getting handled by third and fourth string offensive linemen, what do you think Philly's offensive line is going to do? What do you think the Lions or the Chargers, the Chiefs, what do you think these offensive lines are going to do to Jay Toia? So this is why we said we need to go and get proper depth so that we can have him have him in there in the mix. We want him in the mix, but you don't want Jay Toia get more than 10, 15 snaps a game. Right. You don't. So that's just my evaluation of him right now. And yeah, they have to all develop their bodies. They're just too small. What's up to my guy, Lou? Y'all know we love Lou over here, one of the best content creators out here, the film breakdowns and everything like that. So y'all know to go give him a sub for sure. Yeah. But yeah, and I think also when it comes to Mozzie, well, everybody probably wants to know, what did you think about Mozzie? First of all, Mozzie only got first of all, do you have anything to say about Jay Toia, or we can move on to another person?
We can move on to the next person. I agree with your points on Toia, and like I said, I like how the way he's able to move downfield, and not like other guys on the line too, like King Basote. Saw Denzel Jackson out there as well. I think I do still think that our DT room does need more work, but from the guys that, rookies, of course, from what we've seen from them from so far, still want to see more development, but I like the energy that they're showing, at least what they showed in the first half, and, being able to, stand through those NFL bodies.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And then, but Mozzie only played like 12 snaps, and a majority of them were either play action boot passes or runs away from him. So I want y'all to realize that, like, if Mozzie sucks so bad, then why are teams intentionally running away from him? Because they intentionally targeted Jay Toia. That whole second half, they just targeted him. They said, we're going straight down y'all's throats.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just Jay Toia, as Mickey said. It was also Denzel Jackson. It was also Tommy King Basote. Yeah. So you have to know that the run looked totally different from the first half to the second half.
Yeah. Because Winfrey was in there in the first half. I like his energy at the line. He's able to kind of knife through those tackles.
Exactly. Winfrey provided. Winfrey had good flashes. I realized with him, I'm like, I don't know why y'all got him listed behind Mozzie as a nose tech. He is a 3 tech. I think the 3 tech rotation is gonna be fine. Osa, Solomon Thomas, Perion Winfrey. I got no problem, with that. I got no problem with the 3 tech room. The issue comes to the 1 tech room. And when Mozzie was on the field, they weren't running the ball. When Mozzie wasn't on the field, that's when they were getting the big runs or when they were running away from Mozzie. So I'm gonna do a show about Mozzie and stopping the run and stuff like that on Friday, with my guy Lou and my guy Coach Marv. We're gonna do a show because I really want to break down the run game and
Yeah.
break down scheme and Mozzie and all of this type of stuff, because I believe there's a lot of narratives out there on Mozzie that people are expecting him to do something as a one tech. When you look around the league and it's like, look at the stats of all the one techs around the league and let me know what stats they got. The one techs, and I'm not talking about trash one techs, I'm talking about the one techs that are on the best run stopping defensive lines in the league. You let me know what their stats are. Now you can go and say outliers like Vita Vea, obviously. Outliers like Dexter Lawrence, obviously, who are nose techs that get sacks and tackles for loss. But guess when those two gentlemen started getting actual stats? It wasn't until year 4. So we have to realize that about defensive tackles, guys. Like, they take a very long time to develop. And I just pray and hope we keep Mozzie, we keep Jay Toya, and we continue to develop them instead of getting rid of them. Because that's the problem. We want what everybody else has, but everybody else is willing to develop their young DTs. Exactly. They're willing to let them cook for 3-4 years. But only in Dallas, we want immediate results. And if you're not getting immediate results, then you suck. Then you're a bust. Then you're all of these negative words and connotations. So
I was just reminded of Deion Dawkins. I just, I forgot, but the Bills were on Hard Knocks and watching them. I'm like, man, I forgot that they had him. He's able to kind of, stuff up that middle. Like, some of these teams have their staple guys at those positions. And even I was even a little bit upset last year that Washington pretty much threw a rookie at the DT position, and he was, kind of eating up. He was able to, not that they developed him, but they would, I'm assuming they took their time with him because he was able to do some things mid-season, late into the season. So I just want to see that, like Star said, whether it takes developing a guy or whether you develop, the right type of guy and, put him in the right scheme and make sure that, you put everything around him that's necessary. But that I'm with you, sis. I want to be able to see a change in the DT room, and not just see a new face, and that the Cowboys trying to put a Band-Aid on the problem, but actually solve the problem, and hopefully going forward that we can see. Hopefully, with the guys, because I don't know if they're going to make any moves, but hopefully with the guys in the room that we have can take the development that we had so far and improve upon that, because we definitely need. I mean, like I say, we did solid in the first half, and these weren't our starters, so hopefully we'll see some more improvement as preseason goes on, or we'll see what they'll deal us in the first week of the regular season. But we definitely need to, there's definitely a spot that the guys, and we haven't even talked about it, but I mean, I'm sure we don't have to. We know the coverage aspect of everything. The Cowboys still getting beat with big plays down the field. We've seen Booth get beat, Rochelle get beat.
Big plays is what continues to kill us. You know what I'm saying? That's what was happening in the first half. We wasn't getting killed by the run. We was getting destroyed by big plays. And when you don't have, that's why it's like a real pressing need along with DT is cornerback. Like, y'all got to get some cornerbacks in here, because right now your cornerback depth looks like not good. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, you have 3 able-bodied starters as of today, we think. And this is what I want to see. I need to see more of these guys playing in preseason. I don't know why we would be protecting Kyer Elam, because how many times have we seen camp heroes? We need to see, because the last time we saw Kyer Elam in an actual football game, he got cooked. I need to see, what does he look like in an actual football game? Before I can just bet the house, he's gonna be fine. I don't know about that.
I'm with you. I'm surprised too, because the Cowboys are the ones who didn't pick up his 5th-year option. So I'm surprised that they wouldn't want to see a guy like him, a guy like Javonte Williams, a new guy in the scheme, new guys that you bring in from other schemes. I would think that you want to see them in your head coach's first year of coaching. But.
Exactly. Like, why would Solomon Thomas be sitting? Like, these guys are career journeymen. At no point should Murray be sitting. At no point should Elam be sitting. At no point should Sanborn, a career special teamer, be sitting. At no point should Williams be sitting, or Miles Sand. I know he's hurt, but when he could play Miles Sanders. Like
Right.
everybody should be playing.
That's why I'm surprised that because since Sanders wasn't in, why wasn't Javonte in there?
Right. Like why the hell would Javonte be sitting now? Did he have some crazy year last year?
Right.
So this is the type of stuff that I don't understand. And I hope that what they're not doing is saying, these are our starters, so we're gonna sit them out because we want to protect them, protect their bodies, because that's a load of bullshit. Because hell, I want the All Pros to play. So if I want the All Pros to play, you mean to tell me that that Javonte Williams that we giving $3 million shouldn't be out here playing? Like, stop it. Stop it.
Why Peyton Turner out there then? Why he playing then? You know what I'm saying? Pretty much the only veteran free agent you brought in that was playing was Peyton Turner. I mean, unless I'm tripping, like I don't remember any other veteran.
I like Peyton Turner. Yeah. I like what I saw from Peyton Turner.
Right. I was surprised what I seen. I like that they, he like you said, he played well on the outside. He played wide 9. Like you say, he played, inside a 3 tech. I was surprised he was moving around. He was getting some things done. Hopefully he was getting
some things done. He made a great gap exchange. He made a great gap exchange at the goal line. Yes. So I like what Peyton Turner brings. I feel like he could low key be I'm not saying he is Chauncey Golston, y'all, but I'm saying he low key could be our Chauncey Golston replacement. A guy that we can kind of play inside out like a Swiss Army knife, like we played Chauncey.
Right.
But
just to add a quick point, and I think something that Brian Ross was talking about earlier, because he can handle those one-on-ones on the tight ends, and he's great at working on the outside, and he can get pressure to the pocket. So like you said, if he can just, at least in my opinion, if he can get back, because it's no slight to the guy, but he was kind of a hurt guy before coming in. So him kind of getting nicked up in the game and then in practice again, it kind of sucks, at least for him. But it's just like hopefully he can get back and show, because like I said, I was surprised by what I seen, and that like we can use all the depth, whether it is DN, he was going up and down the line, so we can definitely use some depth pieces, depth guys who can do different things. So hopefully he can get back. I'm excited to see the DN room, and even speaking of the DN room, Sam Williams, he's out as well. Not saying I was surprised at that, because I understand the injury, but at the same time, you have this guy who's amped up to get back.
Right, it's like you need to let him play, because it's like Sam, he's been participating since day one of the off-season program.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to not let him get. Listen, all I will say is this, Shotty. You said, we're just switching things around, and some guys that didn't play this week will play next week. We better effing see it.
Yeah.
Because if I don't see more people playing in this second preseason game, then I'm like, oh, okay, I see what this is. You're Mike McCarthy 2.0. That's what you're Mike McCarthy 2.0.
Yeah.
You have no control over anything. You go up on the podium and you say what you want to do, and then when we look at the games, totally different. So that's all I'm gonna say, Shotty. Like, you're already like on thin ice. I'm really not really trusting you very much, because I thought at first you were gonna be a coach that was gonna fight back. I didn't think that you were gonna be a coach that's gonna come in here and lay down, especially since you've had a front row seat to who Jerry and Stephen Jones are since 2021. That's why I can't give Shotty too much excuses. Because Mike McCarthy didn't sit here for 4 years.
Right.
To observe. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't get that. He heard rumors about what Jerry is and stuff, but he didn't experience it. You sat here front row seats. So that means you should have known what to expect, and you should have known and developed a plan on how you're going to get around that. So again, if I don't see any changes this preseason game, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, and I'm gonna just say that. And to Edward Dozier, that is true. People do expect Mozzie to be more of a 3-tech. They want 3-tech production, and that's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Even when you look at Jalen Carter had 4.5 sacks last year. Osa, 4.5 sacks. Dexter Lawrence, I think, had 5. And that was all pro. So that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Like, defensive tackles, unless you're like Chris Jones and Aaron Donald, who are just like, They're on a totally different trajectory. They're walking double-digit sack DTs. Like, you're not getting that. That's why I just don't really understand people's expectations, because it's like, compare Bozzy to the Pro Bowls and All Pros around the league, like, and look at their production. They're not even putting up double-digit sacks.
Right.
So, and a one tech, the elite one techs, Vita Vea and Dexter Lawrence, they're putting up 5, 6 sacks, maybe 8, 12, 7 tackles for loss. Like, it ain't these crazy stats. So I just really don't know what people want. All I know is when Bozzy was on the field, he was maintaining his gap. He wasn't getting pushed far off the ball. He was pressing the pocket, pressing the center, and the run was not out of control when he's on the field. That's all I know. Do I know if he did everything technically sound? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, yeah, I can't lie to you and say that. But what I can say is he looked to be doing way better. To me, in my eyes,
Yeah, your mic went out for a little bit. And it's still out. No. I think it just hit your hand. But it wasn't a hard hit. No, I can't. Okay. Yeah, Sis gonna go out and come back in and see if she can get your mic working. But I'm with her. Like she said, the run game was definitely stout in the first half. I mean, even Shadi said, I sent a tweet out, not too long after the game, that Shadi said the same thing, that he was definitely proud of the run defense in the first half. I think let me see if I can bring up the stats once this comes back. Even Corey Schrader, you see Jarquez Hunter only averaged 59 yards, 41 yards. So the run defense was, pretty much stout all around.
Okay, I'm back. Can y'all hear me?
All right, perfect. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, but I forgot what I was saying, but I think I was just talking about. I was
talking about Mozzie. Yeah, the run defense.
Right, and the run defense. All I know is that the run defense looked good with him on the field. It didn't look good when he wasn't on the field. I hope that they give him more snaps than 12 to just like kind of allow Mozzie to get into a rhythm and stuff like that. And I mean, he said himself he ain't do shit. And really, what he's saying is I was held, status, because in Mozzie's head, he knows what y'all want. Y'all want him to get sacks and tackles for loss. So if he don't get that, he ain't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's according to he ain't do that. If people who know football and watch film know he did something, but of course to the casuals, he ain't do nothing. So hopefully they allow him to play more. But again, guys, if y'all watch the games, like, they don't run at Mozzie. So it's kind of hard to evaluate when they're intentionally running the other way or intentionally running in someone else's gap.
Right.
Or
they're attacking the edges.
Right. Or intentionally just doing play action and max protecting. Like, what is somebody supposed to do in that situation? So it'll be interesting to see how the Ravens play. So, hopefully he does something to pique you guys' interest. On whenever we play the Ravens. I don't know, Sunday or Saturday or whatever, but
I think it's Saturday. I'm excited. We can kind of close out, just talk about, say, watching the second preseason game kind of this weekend. I'm excited to see how they play. I mean, I only watched a little bit of the Ravens preseason game, but I mean, I did see the first couple of plays. Cooper Rush came out, throwing an interception. We all know the whole QB thing when goes down the drain. But some people brought it up during the game. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see see Cooper Rush again, see how the defense kind of takes on the Ravens offense. I don't know if they changed much about it, but I don't know if it's a pass-heavy offense, but I want to see if they can get any more pressure on the quarterback, because we know it's Cooper Rush. I want to see if they can get the pressure, not just because it's Cooper Rush, but because they can kind of break through the offensive line and see how, if they can knife through those tackles and see just how much,
It'll
if they
be
can bring
interesting.
speed.
You're
Yeah,
right,
you know what I'm
right.
saying? Like, I'll be interested to see. We've seen Cooper Rush in practices, a thing like that, but I don't know if we've seen, real game time. Some of these, I don't know if these guys have seen real game time stats against a Cooper Rush, because, they usually don't hit
Right.
him. So it'll be interesting
Right.
see how these guys come out and play that offense. But I'm excited, I'm excited. Like I said at the top of the show, I'm excited to hopefully see our guys kind of progress more as we go into the preseason. Like you said, hopefully we will see things kind of change up. Shadi did say that he had a plan for some of these guys. Hopefully they
That's
will
what he said.
play a handful of snaps,
Yeah.
and maybe we will see some things kind of changed up. I wouldn't be mad at that either. Of course, I'm never with the Stars playing an entire preseason game. That's not how things go. But even just a couple plays a series, to start the game out and get just to get a rhythm, because they say for a lineman, when they were talking last year about Guyton, it takes 20 to 21 starts. So these guys got to get into rhythm and stuff, and not enough with the musical chairs, but by this time, hopefully with these practices after this first preseason game going through this week, with the walkthrough, I'm assuming Thursday or Friday, they'll know who they want to go forth with, whether it's second or third team, but have a stable, I should say, lineup of guys who you want to see at that position. Vice playing, musical chairs. I know they were doing a lot in the second half. Hopefully, going into this game in its entirety, they can just see. At least I want to see, the same guys at the same position. Hopefully, start seeing the combination that we'll see going into the season. I know there'll still be backups, but have the backups at the places you want to see them. So that way, if we do get in season, they're more seasoned in that position. Vice, not having the muscle memory, if you will, going into the season, hopefully having to play that position.
I agree with that. Yeah, so yeah, we could end on that. I just want to see, in this next preseason game, less penalties. I want to see us start off running the ball.
Yes.
That is our identity, according to Shotty. So there's no reason you can still light it up and deep bomb people with running the ball and doing play action. You don't need to have Joe Milton shotgun trying to throw in breaking route throws and stuff like that. That's not where he's at right now.
Right. And he took some hits too in the last game. He took some hits.
Right. He also took some hits. So it's like, listen, let's slow and settle the game down. You realized last week probably not good to start him off in shotgun. So let's run the ball. I want to see Deuce get more carries. I want to see Javonte Williams running the ball. Yeah. As far as the wide receivers, I feel like we didn't really get a great. And now Flournoy was cooking people, but Joe just couldn't hit him. Right. So I would like to see Joe hit some of those throws he missed. Yeah. I would like to see Trayshawn Holden more, because I'm thinking that maybe he needs to make this team over somebody like Brooks. Now, granted, Brooks pretty much caught everything that came his way that he could catch. So Brooks is fighting, but I would like to see more of Trayshawn Holden, because he's obviously been playing well. Shotty said it himself, said that he needs to move up the depth chart. So he needs to get more playing time, because I feel like Trayshawn Holden did not go into like the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So we need to see more from him. And I want to see more play from Perion and Mozzie. They only got 12 snaps, so I want to see them give them more snaps this game. Maybe try to make it a little bit more even with the third or fourth string or whatever. Or better yet, just let them play the whole half, because they just kept like subbing them in and out. Like let them play the whole half, and then you can let the other one, Jay and the rest of the guys play the second half. Yeah. And what else am I looking for? I think that's pretty much it. Like, I want to be able to evaluate the wide receivers more and the running backs more. And I want the run to be better stopped. So if y'all say y'all worked on tackling and all of this stuff, then we should see it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. First game jitters is a thing. But, okay, so I'll give you the first game. Second game, we should see some of that technique that they've been learning for months, like, to be present on the field. Because if not, that's going to be a concern.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And one last point I want to make, because I know they got into a little bit of the tempo towards in the second half of the game. I know we didn't see a ton of it, but I like that they showed a little bit of it. I like to see a little bit more, just a little bit more, to get guys into a more of a rhythm. I saw them kind of get to the line, just on some, I think maybe two. I don't think I saw no more than 2 or 3, but I like seeing, and I like to see a little bit more, because I feel like the guys play a little bit more when they are in that tempo mode, and can kind of, like you said, at one point you kind of calm the quarterback down by running the ball. Then you can still do tempo and still run the ball, but still kind of keep Joe kind of cool. Right. And also your O-line as well. These guys are still young, still trying to get their game reps up as well. So I think it just kind of calm everybody down, get the running backs going. Get their feet wet a little bit too. So I want to see just a little bit more tempo, and I want to see Tolbert a little bit more. Like I said, I know we didn't see much of the wide receivers, but
I would like to see Tolbert more.
Yes, for me, I feel like if he makes his team, it'll be off of last year and the name only. Like I definitely need to see more from Tolbert, because
he just
that
not
first preseason game.
That first preseason game, he did not look great. You know what I'm saying? Right. I think he keeps being, every time Dak throws to him in practice, it's an interception and something going wrong. I just need Tolbert to perform and to play up, because it seems like you're getting outperformed. That's another position I'm watching, Shadi. Because you said it's fair competition. It feels like everybody else is playing better than him, but he's somehow still wide receiver 3 on the depth chart.
Right.
Even though you said we were moving around the depth chart.
Right.
Y'all sat there and put out the same depth chart y'all put out week 1. So I don't know, man. I'm trying not to do too much. I just want to see some changes. I would love to see if the starters could play just a series. I mean, everybody else is playing. So I would like to see our starters play at least a series. If you don't want to do it this game, then at least game 3. Yeah. Shadi. So I just want to see. It's like we had this whole tough training camp just for preseason to be bubble wrap and not physical and not our identity that you said we gonna have. Like it's feeling weird. But again, it was just one game. So I'm not going to completely overreact, but I am hoping to see changes this week.
Going forward. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the same token as you. So
yep.
Yeah, as we close out, you guys, thank you guys so much for joining us on this evening. Make sure you guys, before you get out of here, thank you guys. Make sure you guys hit like, share, subscribe. Want to share? Just one more time our YouTube channels. Make sure you guys, as you guys know, I'm Cravin Cowboys. Wonderful sis Stargazer Sports. Make sure you guys like both channels, share both channels, subscribe to both channels if you aren't already. Any last words, sis?
Nope, that's it. Hope to be able to see you guys next week. If not, it'll be the week after that. So,
all right.
But I really appreciate
the outro. I didn't bring it up. I'm sorry. All right, we love you guys. I'll catch you next time, sis. Thanks for your time.